Welcome, welcome, welcome to The Digital Edge. Today we're diving into a really fascinating story. It's about Quek Siu Rui and how Carousell came to be. We're really going to focus on that journey, how a simple frustration turned into this massive online marketplace, and crucially, how they navigated some pretty serious early challenges, near failures even, to get where they are today.
Yeah, it's quite a story. It kicks off with Quek Siu Rui just trying to sell his old MacBook. He found the whole process using forums and classifieds, well, really clunky.
Right, a familiar pain point for many, I think.
Exactly, and that's where the spark happened. He saw this gap, this opportunity for something way smoother. Mobile first. Smartphones were taking off, right?
Mm-hmm. So solving his own problem, basically.
Pretty much. And that's often the root of great startups, isn't it?
Yeah.
Solving a real, tangible problem you've experienced yourself.
Absolutely. And he didn't go it alone. He teamed up with Marcus Tan and Lucas Ngoo. They knew each other from NUS, the National University of Singapore, and crucially through this NUS overseas college program in Silicon Valley, no less.
Silicon Valley. That experience seems absolutely pivotal according to, well, everything we've seen. It wasn't just about the tech. It sounds like it really lit that entrepreneurial fire in them.
Yeah, this desire to use technology to fix things, solve problems.
And you imagine being immersed in that environment, it probably gave them a whole different perspective on scale, ambition, maybe even funding.
Definitely. So their first concept, they called it Snapcell.
Snapcell, yeah.
Yeah.
The idea was just dead simple, like a virtual flea market on your phone.
Dead simple way to sell your wares, I think one source called it. Love that directness.
Yeah. But here's where the failure to success angle really starts. They took this idea to Singapore Startup Weekend in March 2012. And get this, they almost didn't even get to pitch.
Wait, really? How come?
The submission was ranked something like 41st or 42nd out of 80. They only scraped in because other teams dropped out.
Wow, that's cutting it fine.
And it didn't stop there. Even after they did pitch, they initially weren't selected again.
No way. So
No.
how did they get through?
More dropouts and team consolidations. They ended up being the absolute last team picked. Talk about resilience from the get-go.
That's incredible. Just sheer persistence or maybe luck.
A bit of both, maybe. But then they had this intense 54-hour coding marathon.
54 hours. Phew.
And they nailed it. They actually won the whole thing.
Fantastic. And that win came with some serious perks, right?
Oh, yeah. Office space at Bulk 71, a massive boost. That place was the startup hub in Singapore then. Community, connections, everything.
And a chance to pitch at Angel's Gate, too?
Plus, the best part, right after winning, people were actually asking, hey, can we use this Snapcell thing now?
Instant validation. That must have felt amazing after nearly not making it.
Absolutely vital. It proved the idea wasn't just good in theory. People actually wanted it.
So Snapcell became Carousell, launched August 13th, 2012. The name's kind of fun, too.
Yeah, inspired by that Kodak Carousel projector from Mad Men, apparently, just added an L for cell.
Clever. But okay, launch day excitement aside, those first 18 months sound brutal.
Ooh, really tough going. The founders weren't paying themselves, living off savings, parental support. Marcus Tan mentioned some days they'd literally get single-digit signups. Just imagine that grind.
It's hard to picture now, given their size. And they were getting pushback, too, right? People saying they couldn't compete.
Definitely. Skepticism all around. You're up against established players. It'll never work.
So what kept them going? Just sheer belief.
Two things, mainly. One was just pure passion for mission-making, selling secondhand stuff easy. And the other was this deep belief that, people could genuinely benefit from this. That kept the fire lit.
And they were smart about growth, focusing on those early adopters, millennials specifically.
Yeah, target campaigns, really trying to build that word-of-mouth buzz organically. You need that core community first.
Which brings us to a really telling story about community. The big mistake.
The pseudo-arm-arf incident.
Yeah.
Lucas Ngoo accidentally wiped all the photos.
All of them. When was this?
2 weeks before launch. About 700 listings from their first 70 beta testers. Gone.
Oh my God. That's potentially company ending right there. What did they do?
They had to just bite the bullet, go back to every single one of those early sellers, explain what happened, and humbly ask them to relist everything.
Oof. That takes guts. How did people react?
Amazingly, all 70 agreed to do it, every single one.
Wow.
It just shows how strong those early relationships were. People believed in them and the platform, even through a massive screw-up like that.
That says so much about the value they were already providing beyond just the tech.
Totally. It was about connection. And the challenges didn't stop there. Launch night, servers crashed.
Of course they did. Too much demand.
Exactly. Unexpectedly high traffic. Lucas apparently pulled an all-nighter migrating data to keep things running, just constantly firefighting.
It really sounds like a trial by fire, those early days.
For sure. And amidst all this, Quek Siu Rui makes this huge personal decision.
Dropping out of his honors year.
Yep. May 2012. Goes full-time on Carousell. Imagine telling your parents that, especially with all the uncertainty.
Yeah, facing disappointment, fears about competition. That's tough.
And then, perhaps the most talked about decision, turning down $100 million.
In 2014.
Right.
U.S. dollars. He was only 26.
Crazy, right? A U.S. $100 million offer to sell. And he said no.
Why? What was the thinking?
He was apparently inspired by Mark Zuckerberg holding on to Facebook early on, believed Carousell could be much bigger, had that long-term vision.
Incredible conviction. And, well, history proved him right, didn't it?
Absolutely. The valuation shot up way past that offer later on. By 2016, they'd done over 8 million transactions, 26 million listings.
And they kept growing, expanding across Southeast Asia, Australia, making smart acquisitions too.
Yeah, acquiring companies like Curly, Duriana, OLX Philippines, bringing in tech and talent like developers from Watch Over Me.
Plus innovating with things like AI for listings, Carapay for secure payments.
Right, smart listings. Carapay launched in 2018. And Carousell Pro for specific business areas like property and cars. Constant evolution.
It's interesting hearing the co-founders reflect on it too, Marcus Tam, on just how hard-growing that initial community was.
And Lucas Ngoo on that photo deletion mistake, the key takeaway being focusing on fixing it, not blaming anyone.
That says a lot about their team dynamic.
Definitely. They talk about shared values, open communication, hiring people better than themselves.
Yeah.
Sounds like a solid foundation built on friendship, but professional too.
And the work ethic. Always the last to leave the office. Working weekends.
Driven. Absolutely driven by what they wanted to achieve.
So summing it all up, Carousell's story, Quek Siu Rui's story, it really is this powerful narrative of, well, almost not succeeding.
Yeah, it's not a simple overnight success. It's about hitting walls, nearly missing the pitch, technical disasters, that huge data loss, but meeting each one with sheer resilience, leaning on their community, and just sticking relentlessly to that core mission.
Quek's determination, especially turning down that massive offer, really stands out.
It's a testament to finding a real problem, building something people genuinely value, and just having the grit to push through when things inevitably go wrong.
It makes you really think, doesn't it, about how important those early believers are and what it truly takes to navigate the chaos of building something new. How strong does your why need to be?
A great question to ponder.
Indeed. And that's all for this edition of The Digital Edge.